You don't need to be recognized to be valuable, and you don't need anyone's permission to start believing in yourself. In a noisy world where people are judged by follower counts, email titles, or monthly paychecks, it's easy to forget that true worth doesn't live on the outside. It lives in how you see yourself when no one else is watching. The moments when you choose to say no to protect your boundaries, when you rise after failure without applause, or when you quietly do something kind without expecting credit. Those are the moments when you are most aligned with your real value. Don't wait for the world to confirm your worth, because the truth is that you've always been enough. Understanding your own value doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you anchored. It helps you live with direction and know what's worth continuing, what needs to be released, and what should never be compromised. When you truly realize that, you no longer chase a seat at someone else's table, because you've built your own space in your own heart. And from that place, everything begins to change. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how Stoicism can transform the way you see yourself forever. Subscribe to join this journey and share your own stories below, because your voice matters, and together we rise. 1. Choose yourself first. Choosing yourself first isn't selfish. It's your greatest act of strength. It's the quiet courage to honor your worth without waiting for permission or approval from the world. In the constant pressure to perform, to please, to put everyone else's needs ahead of your own, you might forget that your value isn't measured by how much you sacrifice yourself. Your value, at its core, is how deeply you respect your own voice, especially when no one else is listening. We often live our lives in quiet desperation, waiting for someone to recognize us, to tell us we're worthy. But what if that validation never comes? What if the applause you've been waiting for is silence? Stoicism teaches us the wisdom of self-validation, of seeing clearly our own worth, independent of external praise. Because the truth is, the only person who truly knows your story, your struggles, your quiet triumphs, is you. And if you don't choose yourself first, nobody else ever will. Maybe you're the kind of person who puts your family, your job, and everyone else's comfort before your own. Maybe you've told yourself that your dreams can wait, that someday you'll have the time, the energy, and the freedom to finally put yourself first. Yet life has a way of moving forward whether you're ready or not. I remember my mother, who spent decades quietly shelving her passion for painting because family duties always came first. She never complained and never expressed bitterness, but deep down I knew she had lost something precious along the way. Only when she turned 60 did she pick up her paintbrush again, not for recognition but for herself, painting quietly in our small garden. I've never seen her eyes so alive. Her story isn't unique. It's a mirror for all of us who delay choosing ourselves until we feel we've earned it, until we feel permitted. Your life doesn't begin when someone else finally sees your value. Your life begins the exact moment you choose yourself without apology. Choosing yourself first means setting healthy boundaries, saying no when saying yes would cost you peace. It means listening deeply to your inner voice, even when the world around you is loud and distracting. It means stepping away from situations or people that drain your energy and finding strength in solitude. Stoicism embraces this, that your inner peace, your emotional clarity is entirely within your own control. The Stoics understood deeply that the only validation worth having is the one that comes from living in alignment with your own values, regardless of outside opinion. Imagine you've worked tirelessly for years at a job that consumes you. You're always available, always reliable, and always willing to push yourself beyond your limits to meet someone else's expectations. Yet, despite your sacrifices, recognition eludes you. You start feeling invisible, drained, and undervalued. Now imagine another way. Imagine stepping back, even briefly, to assess your own worth beyond your job title or paycheck. Imagine choosing to prioritize your health, your mental well-being, and your passion, even if that decision invites misunderstanding from others. At first, it feels uncomfortable, even frightening, because you've conditioned yourself to believe that putting others first defines your worth. But slowly, clarity comes. You realize that choosing yourself doesn't diminish your value. It elevates it, because now you can offer your best self to those around you, authentically, willingly, without resentment. Start small. Take a moment each day to acknowledge what you need. Perhaps it's a short walk alone, a quiet space to read, or simply turning off your phone to reclaim your peace. Every small act of self-respect compounds over time, reinforcing your understanding of your intrinsic value. Practicing Stoicism is not about cold detachment. It's about emotional discipline and knowing exactly where your boundaries lie. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the tranquility of a well-ordered mind comes from within, not from external circumstances. When you choose yourself first, you create the conditions necessary for that tranquility to take root and flourish. You'll notice that something extraordinary happens when you consistently choose yourself. People start respecting your boundaries because you do. You no longer need external validation because you have your own. You become a source of inspiration, quietly powerful, simply because you honor your worth. Your presence alone, calm and self-assured, creates a ripple effect around you. People begin to understand that self-care and self-respect aren't luxuries, they are essential. They're the cornerstone upon which everything else in your life depends. Yet this path isn't easy. The decision to choose yourself first is often misunderstood, even criticized. You might be labeled selfish or uncaring, but remember, Stoicism teaches us to release our attachment to other people's judgments. Their misunderstanding doesn't reflect who you are. It only reflects their limited perception. By choosing yourself, you demonstrate courage, strength, and clarity of purpose, qualities far more valuable than fleeting approval. If you've been waiting for a sign, let this be it. Stop waiting. Stop postponing your own happiness until someone else gives you permission. The world needs you, but first, you need you. Embrace your worth. Choose yourself first, today and every day. Because when you do, you no longer live life waiting for permission to exist fully. Instead, you start living from a place of inner strength, unshakable confidence, and profound self-respect. From there, every step forward becomes clear, purposeful, and meaningful. Choosing yourself first is the ultimate Stoic act. It's acknowledging that your internal state, your peace, your worth, your emotional integrity is entirely yours to manage. No one can bestow it upon you, and no one can take it away. So take a breath, quiet the noise, and make the choice now, knowing that your life, your true, valuable, irreplaceable life, begins at the moment you finally unapologetically choose yourself. 2. You matter, even when unseen. Even when nobody notices your effort, even when no applause comes your way, your value remains unshaken. We often equate recognition with worth, believing that the louder the praise, the more meaningful our actions. But real value rarely seeks a spotlight. True worth lives quietly in the everyday choices you make when no one else is watching. It breathes in your silent acts of kindness, your unseen sacrifices, and your persistent courage to move forward when life weighs heavy. In a world obsessed with visibility, your greatest triumphs are often those kept hidden, unseen by the world, but deeply known by you. In our hyper-connected society, we mistakenly tie our self-worth to validation, likes, views, and follower count. But the Stoics remind us that external approval is fleeting, unstable, and often deceptive. Real inner peace and lasting confidence come from knowing your intrinsic worth, independent of any external measure. It's easy to forget that when you're quietly carrying responsibilities, nobody applauds, but your value doesn't diminish, it deepens. You hold your ground, honoring your commitment not because recognition awaits, but simply because it's the right thing to do. You persevere through hardship, quietly help others, and offer your presence and patience, and yet, perhaps your name is never spoken in gratitude. But your value isn't defined by how often others speak it aloud. Your worth isn't diminished by silence, nor elevated by applause. You matter exactly as you are, right now, unseen and yet fully whole. Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. We cannot control whether others see our worth, but we can always choose how we see ourselves. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, often emphasized the significance of inner judgment over external validation. Your inner voice, your self-perception, these are the only truths worth trusting. It takes immense strength and quiet courage to detach your sense of value from external validation. But when you do, the freedom you gain is profound. No longer swayed by applause or criticism, your actions become authentic expressions of your true character. Think of the caregiver who silently tends to an aging parent, never expecting gratitude or recognition. Their value lies precisely in the integrity and quiet dedication with which they fulfill their duty. Think of someone who shows up day after day, performing thankless tasks at work, unnoticed, but crucial to the overall success. Their worth isn't measured by a promotion or a thank you note. It exists entirely within their unwavering discipline and reliability. Your own life is full of these unseen acts. Every quiet moment of kindness, every unnoticed sacrifice, every silent victory over your doubts are evidence of your true value. When you realize your value exists independently from outside praise, something transformative happens. You stop chasing external approval. You stop measuring your worth by other people's opinions. You begin living life from a place of quiet dignity, emotional discipline, and inner tranquility. You understand clearly that recognition is temporary and fleeting, but self-respect and inner confidence last forever. This perspective liberates you, guiding you toward actions aligned with your deepest principles rather than the shifting opinions of the world. Practically, adopting this Stoic mindset means taking a moment each day to consciously recognize your hidden contributions. Take stock of what you quietly accomplish without expecting credit. Celebrate these victories silently. Acknowledge that your ability to persist without recognition is itself a profound expression of strength. By embracing the unseen nature of your value, you cultivate deep emotional resilience, making you less susceptible to external pressures or judgments. Your confidence grows, not because others validate you, but because you have validated yourself. A powerful Stoic practice to embody this principle is nightly reflection. Spend 5 minutes before bed noting 3 things you did that day without external acknowledgement. Perhaps you patiently comforted a friend, remained calm under pressure, or simply stayed committed to your goals despite difficulties. By recognizing these quiet acts, you reinforce your self-worth from within. Over time, this practice teaches your mind to see value not in applause, but in integrity, consistency, and genuine effort. Remember, true impact rarely announces itself. It grows quietly, often unseen, slowly influencing those around you in ways you may never fully realize. Your gentle kindness might shift someone's entire outlook. Your quiet strength can inspire someone else to persist. You don't need to know your exact impact for it to be meaningful. You simply need to trust that acting in alignment with your values, even unseen, holds infinite worth. In moments of doubt, when you question if what you're doing matters, hold fast to this truth. You matter even without recognition. Your worth doesn't change with visibility. The depth of your character doesn't depend on praise. The person you become through unseen acts, the discipline, resilience, and quiet strength you develop is where your true greatness lies. This understanding shifts your focus from seeking approval to nurturing your character. It guides you to value emotional stability over fleeting recognition and personal integrity over public acclaim. You no longer rely on applause to measure your worth. Instead, you rely on your internal compass, your inner Stoic voice, to affirm that what you do quietly, patiently, and consistently defines your true worth. Ultimately, embracing the unseen nature of your value is more than just self-affirmation. It's the foundation of a fulfilled life. It enables you to move confidently through uncertainty, to act courageously despite silence, and to live authentically, independent of external validation. Your greatest accomplishments are rarely those acknowledged loudly. Often, they are the quiet moments when you choose patience over anger, kindness over resentment, persistence over surrender. So, keep going, even if nobody sees. Keep being kind, even without gratitude. Keep staying strong, even without applause, because your value exists precisely where nobody else can see it, in the quiet dignity of every unseen choice you make. 3. Comparison steals clarity. Comparison isn't just the thief of joy, it's the thief of clarity, the silent enemy of inner peace. Every moment you spend measuring yourself against another is a moment you lose sight of your own journey, your own strength, your own truth. It's easy, in an age flooded with highlight reels and success stories, to look at others and wonder why your own progress feels slow or insignificant. But your value isn't defined by someone else's timeline or achievements. It rests quietly, profoundly, within your unique path, the one only you can walk. Too often, comparison tricks you into believing you're behind, that you're losing some invisible race. Yet life isn't a competition, it's a deeply personal journey. Stoicism teaches us this essential wisdom. Control what you can, your mindset, your emotions, your actions, and release everything else. When you compare, you hand your peace over to external circumstances beyond your control. You surrender your emotional clarity, trading it for anxiety, doubt, and frustration. Instead of seeing how far you've come, you fixate on someone else's milestone. Instead of celebrating your quiet victories, you diminish them by placing them side by side with another's louder, more public success. Realize this: comparison rarely tells the full story. You witness someone's public success, but never see their private struggles. You envy their victories, but never experience their hidden sacrifices. By comparing, you measure your inside, your insecurities, fears, and uncertainties against someone else's polished outside. This mismatch breeds resentment and self-doubt, stealing your peace and robbing you of your own clear path. You become blind to your own worth, losing sight of the unique value your journey holds. So how do you reclaim your clarity? First, acknowledge deeply that your journey, your experiences, your timeline, they belong solely to you. Nobody else possesses your exact blend of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and struggles. This uniqueness isn't a flaw, it's your greatest asset. The Stoics remind us to focus intently on our internal compass and our personal virtues rather than external validation or comparison. Marcus Aurelius famously noted that a flower doesn't envy another's bloom, it simply blossoms. Your task is to blossom fully, authentically, without distraction by the flowers blooming around you. When comparison tempts you, shift your focus inward. Reflect on your growth, not someone else's status. Consider the progress you've made over the past year, month, or even week. Remind yourself of the obstacles you've overcome silently and courageously. Maybe you changed jobs, improved a relationship, learned a new skill, or simply endured a difficult season without giving up. These quiet victories are genuine measures of your strength. They're reminders that you are on your own path, a path no less valuable, no less meaningful, simply because it differs from another's. Practically, limit your exposure to environments or media that encourage comparison. If scrolling social media leaves you feeling drained, step away and recalibrate. Instead, channel your attention into tangible actions that affirm your worth and goals. Set clear intentions each day. Write them down. Track small wins consistently. Celebrate them without waiting for outside applause. This deliberate self-recognition shifts your mindset from comparison to gratitude, from scarcity to abundance. You start appreciating what you have, not longing for what you lack. Remember, comparison isn't inevitable, it's a habit, and habits can be reshaped. The Stoic practice of mindfulness and daily reflection can become your powerful ally in this reshaping. Each evening, spend just a few minutes writing down something you're grateful for, something you've improved, and something you appreciate about yourself. By consciously noticing and documenting your progress, you reinforce a mindset of self-awareness rather than self-comparison. Over time, your clarity sharpens, your inner peace grows stronger, and comparison loses its grip. Think of your life as a carefully crafted story. Every chapter matters, even the slow ones, the uncertain ones, the painful ones. Each scene, each moment, contributes to your personal narrative, uniquely shaped by your experiences, decisions, and responses. The Stoics emphasize that your character and inner tranquility depend not on external circumstances, but on how clearly and deliberately you respond to them. Comparison clouds your judgment, confusing your storyline with someone else's. Reject that confusion. Reclaim your clarity. Your story is powerful precisely because it's yours. Precisely because nobody else can replicate it. In moments when comparison creeps in, pause and ask yourself, what am I not seeing in myself right now? What quiet strength am I overlooking? Redirect your gaze inward. Recognize your value independently of anyone else's achievements or opinions. It's not your responsibility to match someone else's pace, meet their expectations, or replicate their success. Your only responsibility is to walk your path with integrity, purpose, and self-awareness. Ultimately, your worth is never measured accurately through comparison. True worth comes from within, from consistent personal growth, emotional discipline, and authenticity. Every moment you spend building yourself, regardless of applause or acknowledgement, strengthens your inner foundation. Each step forward, no matter how small, affirms your commitment to yourself. And it's in these quiet, consistent steps that genuine greatness is built. Today, release comparison. Accept fully that your path, with all its unique twists, detours, and challenges, is exactly right for you. Embrace the clarity that comes from looking inward rather than outward. Trust in your timeline, your pace, and your story. Because when you stop comparing, you start living clearly, authentically, powerfully. And that clarity, that self-acceptance, is your greatest freedom. 4. Your worth creates impact. Your true value is not measured by degrees, possessions, or titles. It's defined by the impact you quietly create in the lives of others. Often you overlook the profound influence of your simplest gestures. A sincere word, a small act of kindness, or your quiet presence might transform someone's day, alter their path, or even shift the course of their entire life. Stoicism reminds us that the real worth of your existence lies not in external accolades, but in how authentically you connect and support those around you. It teaches that true greatness emerges quietly and humbly through the integrity and kindness you bring to everyday interactions. Think for a moment about the teachers you've had in your life. Not necessarily the professionals, but anyone who's guided or inspired you through their actions and attitude. They didn't always hold grand titles or command attention with wealth or power, yet their influence deeply shaped who you became. Why? Because impact doesn't demand recognition or status. Impact thrives quietly in consistency, patience, and genuine care. It grows steadily in small, unseen moments, like the reassuring smile when someone doubts their ability, the calm voice guiding someone through their fears, or the patience offered during moments of confusion and frustration. These quiet gestures don't announce themselves loudly, yet their echoes remain powerful and lasting. The Stoics believed your worth arises from living according to virtue, qualities like courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. At its core, the virtue of justice is about your responsibility to contribute positively to others' lives. Each day provides countless opportunities for you to practice this principle. When you encourage someone who feels defeated, you offer them courage. When you help someone understand a difficult truth, you provide wisdom. When you choose patience over anger, you embody temperance. And when you treat others fairly, without expectation of reward, you enact justice. These simple, consistent actions reflect your inner values clearly, affirming your worth in ways external validation never could. Yet often, you might underestimate these small acts. You might believe they hold no real significance because they don't earn applause or recognition. But remember, your purpose isn't to gather praise. It's to authentically live your values and positively affect those around you. In moments of doubt, consider the Stoic practice of mindful reflection. Ask yourself each evening, whose day did I make a little better today? How did my presence quietly contribute? This habit reminds you of your subtle yet meaningful impact, reinforcing your sense of purpose and worth, independent of external acknowledgement. Imagine someone struggling quietly, unnoticed by the world, feeling invisible or unimportant. Your simple recognition, your patient ear, and your genuine encouragement are gifts more powerful than you realize. Perhaps it's a colleague overwhelmed by stress. Your patience, listening, and calm reassurance can change their perspective entirely. Perhaps it's a friend facing private struggles. Your quiet presence can be the gentle strength they desperately need. These moments matter profoundly, far beyond your immediate understanding, because your value isn't something you acquire from the outside. It's something you radiate from within, naturally and authentically, whenever you act with genuine kindness and compassion. When you shift your mindset to focus on impact rather than recognition, you free yourself from the pressures of external validation. You stop chasing applause and instead find profound satisfaction in knowing you've positively influenced someone's life. You embrace a deeper peace, grounded firmly in the Stoic understanding that true fulfillment comes from contributing positively to others, even in the smallest ways. Practically, remind yourself often, today, I will impact someone positively. Let this simple statement guide your actions, even during challenging moments. When faced with difficult people or circumstances, instead of reacting impulsively, pause briefly. Reflect inwardly on how you might offer calmness, wisdom, or encouragement rather than frustration or impatience. This Stoic discipline transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for meaningful impact. It empowers you to control your emotions constructively, using every encounter to express the best version of yourself. Never underestimate the power of your words. A single thoughtful comment can linger in someone's mind for years, providing strength during difficult times. Think about the quiet heroes in your life, those who shaped you simply through consistent, authentic kindness. Now imagine becoming that person for someone else, not through grand gestures, but through your steady presence, your patient encouragement, and your consistent reliability. Every quiet act of integrity you perform adds immeasurable worth to your life and to the lives around you. Stoicism teaches that your true strength lies in your capacity to uplift others without expectation. It reveals your worth not in what you gather, but in what you generously offer. Each small act of compassion, each kind word spoken without expecting a reward, becomes evidence of your inner strength and emotional discipline. It demonstrates your genuine commitment to Stoic virtues, creating a real, lasting impact. So as you navigate life, remember that your worth isn't tied to external achievements or superficial recognition. Your value rests securely in the quiet moments when you offer kindness without seeking a reward, support without seeking applause, and strength without seeking acknowledgement. These moments define who you truly are, shaping your character and your legacy. Today, focus less on the applause you receive and more on the quiet impact you create. Remind yourself daily that your smallest gestures of kindness hold powerful potential. Recognize your value in these quiet, unseen moments. Because at the end of each day, your worth is clear. Not because someone praised your name, but because someone's life was quietly made better simply by your authentic presence. 5. Your difference is power. What makes you different isn't your weakness, it's your hidden power, quietly waiting to be claimed. Society trains you to believe that fitting in is a success, that similarity equals safety, and that difference equals risk. But Stoicism teaches us differently. Your unique qualities, the traits others may label as flaws, hold within them the seeds of genuine greatness. Perhaps you felt out of sync, too sensitive, too intense, too thoughtful, always too much or not enough for the world's standards. But pause for a moment and consider this deeply. Who exactly defines those standards? And why should their rules bind your worth? Your difference isn't something you should hide or apologize for. It's precisely what makes you irreplaceable, unforgettable, and profoundly valuable. When you embrace your uniqueness, you step into a power that's authentically yours. Instead of masking it, allow your differences to guide you toward your true purpose. Stoicism tells us to focus inwardly on virtues like courage, self-awareness, and emotional discipline. Embracing what sets you apart requires courage. It demands self-awareness. But the reward, inner peace, and clarity about your worth is unmatched. You no longer need external validation or the fleeting approval of others because you finally accepted yourself fully. Maybe you're someone whose sensitivity feels overwhelming. You sense emotions deeply, more profoundly than most, and the world labels you as overly emotional. But what if this depth of feeling is your greatest gift? Your empathy allows you to understand people profoundly and to build connections that others simply cannot. You become the person people turn to, trust, and value. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's your superpower. It equips you with insight and compassion, tools far more powerful than superficial strength or toughness. Recognize this gift, own it without shame, and use it to create a genuine, meaningful impact in your community. Perhaps you've been labeled stubborn, overly determined, or rigid. You see things clearly and passionately and refuse to waver from your vision. Others might say you're inflexible or unrealistic, but your conviction enables you to withstand storms that break others. Your steadfast nature becomes your strength, offering resilience where others crumble. Stoicism praises this inner firmness, the ability to remain true to yourself, your beliefs, and your path, regardless of external pressures. The world is full of compromises and half-hearted efforts. Your difference lies precisely in your refusal to dilute your principles. Hold on to that difference and treasure it, because it shapes you into someone who can create lasting, meaningful change. Your uniqueness isn't accidental, it's essential. Marcus Aurelius urged us to remember that nature makes nothing superfluous. Every trait serves a purpose. Your too much or too little isn't random. It's the exact combination needed to fulfill your role. Stop wasting your energy trying to reshape yourself into someone else's image of success or acceptability. Instead, embrace your genuine self fully, intentionally, without apology. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Your difference transforms into clarity, confidence, and purpose. You no longer second-guess your decisions or compare yourself to others. You become anchored in self-respect and genuine fulfillment. Practically, learning to embrace your differences begins by altering your self-talk. The Stoics taught that our perceptions shape our reality. How you speak to yourself defines how you see yourself. Next time someone criticizes or labels you negatively, consciously reframe their words. Hear too sensitive as deeply empathetic, too intense as passionate and focused, too quiet as thoughtful and observant. This subtle shift in your internal narrative changes your relationship with yourself profoundly. It moves you from self-criticism to self-acceptance, empowering you to use your differences as strengths rather than viewing them as burdens. Apply your unique qualities intentionally in daily life. If your depth of thought sets you apart, embrace roles and tasks where your insights can shine. Share your unique perspective boldly, without hesitation or fear. If your emotional intelligence distinguishes you, offer comfort, guidance, and understanding to those who need it most. Be the friend who listens deeply and who supports without judgment. Let your unique strengths guide you naturally toward meaningful contributions and deeper connections. Understand clearly, your value doesn't diminish simply because others fail to understand or appreciate your difference. Their inability to recognize your worth doesn't mean it isn't there. It only reflects their limitations, not yours. When you understand your own worth, you stop trying to change yourself for acceptance. Instead, you live authentically, courageously, and boldly. You stop needing others to confirm your value because your self-respect becomes your strongest foundation. Stoicism also teaches us to release our need for external approval. The world's recognition can never truly satisfy you. It's unpredictable, fleeting, and hollow. True satisfaction comes from inner clarity, emotional balance, and the confidence gained from fully accepting who you are. Remember this each day. Your difference isn't a disadvantage, it's your power. Embrace it, honor it, and use it boldly. Others may not understand immediately, but eventually they'll see the quiet strength and authenticity you carry. And more importantly, you'll see it clearly within yourself. Your difference isn't something to fear. It's something to celebrate. Every great thinker, every impactful leader, and every meaningful changemaker began by embracing precisely what made them unusual. Your path to true inner peace and emotional strength starts the moment you acknowledge that your uniqueness isn't a flaw, it's your greatest asset. Stand tall in your difference, honor your true nature, and know deeply that by being unlike anyone else, you can achieve things no one else ever has. Embrace fully the quiet power hidden in your uniqueness, because the moment you do, you no longer merely survive in a world designed for sameness. You thrive, authentically, fully, and without apology. 6. Failing doesn't lower your worth. Failure doesn't define your worth. It reveals your courage and your willingness to face uncertainty head-on. We often perceive setbacks as signs of weakness or inadequacy, but the truth is exactly the opposite. Failure means you have the bravery to step into the unknown, to test your limits, and to challenge yourself beyond comfort. This courage, this readiness to risk disappointment for the sake of growth, is precisely what Stoicism celebrates. Stoics understood deeply that setbacks aren't personal judgments. They're simply part of life's inevitable cycle, shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Yet, when you experience failure firsthand, it's easy to forget this truth. You start questioning your value, doubting your abilities, and wondering if you're worthy of success. But here lies your essential Stoic reminder. Your worth is never determined by the outcome of your actions, only by the strength of your character, the steadiness of your emotional discipline, and your willingness to keep going despite the odds. Marcus Aurelius wrote profoundly about failure's true nature, reminding us it only has the power you grant it. Your setbacks become burdens only if you choose to carry them. Otherwise, they're valuable teachers, guiding you toward clarity, patience, and genuine self-awareness. Think about the moments when you faced a major disappointment, how you responded. Your emotional control, your persistence, your calmness under pressure revealed far more about your true value than a victory ever could. Realize clearly, anyone can feel confident in success, but genuine inner strength shows itself most clearly in moments of defeat. The Stoics knew this well. They taught that your response, not your circumstance, defines who you truly are. Your worth remains intact, fully undamaged by external events, fully untouched by temporary setbacks. You possess a value entirely independent of any outcome, always steady, always real. When you internalize this Stoic truth, you approach life's challenges differently. Rather than fear failure, you embrace it, knowing clearly that each setback provides crucial lessons for your growth. You no longer attach your self-esteem to external validation or success. Instead, you anchor your self-respect firmly in your character, your courage, and your willingness to show up and face life's uncertainties. Failure doesn't weaken you, it clarifies your path forward, sharpening your vision for what truly matters. Every setback reveals clearly where adjustments are necessary, where strengths can be built, and where opportunities await you. To practically embody this Stoic mindset, start reframing your failures. Shift your self-talk from judgmental criticism to constructive curiosity. Instead of berating yourself for falling short, calmly ask, what can I learn from this? How can this setback strengthen me? This quiet inquiry transforms failure from an emotional burden into a powerful source of wisdom. It trains your mind to seek lessons rather than excuses and solutions rather than blame. Each failure viewed clearly becomes an ally in your ongoing quest for self-improvement and inner peace. Another powerful Stoic practice involves focusing on what you control. You cannot control external outcomes or the opinions of others, but you can always control your perspective, your emotional response, and your next step. Remind yourself consistently, setbacks occur outside your direct control, but your reaction remains firmly within your power. Practice emotional discipline by calmly observing your initial reactions to setbacks, then consciously choosing to respond thoughtfully, patiently, and constructively. Over time, this emotional discipline becomes second nature, empowering you to remain clear-headed and confident regardless of external circumstances. Stoicism also teaches that resilience is built through repetition. Each time you rise from a setback, without losing your self-respect, your confidence quietly deepens. Each time you respond to disappointment calmly and rationally, your emotional strength grows. Gradually, failure loses its sting. It no longer threatens your worth because your self-worth doesn't rely on external events, only on the consistent integrity of your actions and character. Your failures become simply moments in your journey, stepping stones toward clarity, confidence, and lasting emotional resilience. Remember this clearly, setbacks don't mean you've wasted time or effort. Every attempt, successful or not, brings invaluable experience and insight. You learn more from setbacks than from easy victories because failure reveals clearly your limitations, your hidden strengths, and your most important areas for growth. It forces you to adapt, to rethink your strategy, to deepen your self-awareness. Viewed properly, every failure accelerates your personal growth far more powerfully than smooth sailing ever could. Adopt the Stoic habit of reflecting regularly on your challenges and setbacks. Each night, quietly consider one recent disappointment or struggle. Rather than judging yourself harshly, acknowledge your courage in facing uncertainty and clearly identify what you've learned. This simple practice transforms your relationship with failure. Instead of avoiding it, you seek it confidently, knowing clearly that setbacks fuel your inner growth, clarify your direction, and affirm your bravery. So, next time failure knocks you down, remind yourself immediately, your worth remains fully intact. Your value doesn't diminish with setbacks, it only deepens with your courageous response. Let failure teach you without defining you. Let setbacks guide you without discouraging you. Recognize clearly that every disappointment proves one powerful truth. You were brave enough to try, bold enough to face uncertainty head-on. Embrace failure, learn from it, and rise from it stronger than before. Your setbacks don't lessen your worth. They magnify your courage, refine your character, and deepen your emotional discipline. In the end, your true worth has nothing to do with your record of successes and everything to do with how courageously you respond each time life challenges you to grow. 7. Boundaries show self-worth. Saying no isn't rejection, it's recognition. It's the moment you stop proving your value and start protecting it. Boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are bridges that protect what truly matters inside you. In a world that constantly demands more of your time, more of your energy, more of your attention, setting clear boundaries is one of the most powerful declarations of self-worth. Stoicism reminds us that true peace begins with control, not over others, but over ourselves. When you draw the line, not out of fear or ego, but out of clarity, you tell the world, I know who I am, and I know what I will and will not accept. Yet most people hesitate. We hesitate to speak up. We hesitate to say no. We hesitate to put ourselves first because we fear being labeled as selfish, difficult, or ungrateful. So we endure. We allow constant interruptions, emotional overreach, and subtle disrespect, just to maintain peace on the surface. But peace without self-respect is not peace at all. It's quiet exhaustion. It's resentment in disguise. And that slow burn eats away at your inner clarity, your emotional discipline, and ultimately, your sense of value. If you've ever found yourself saying yes when every fiber in your body wanted to say no, you understand this conflict deeply. You know the emotional toll of being available for everyone except yourself. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give love, energy, or clarity to others if you've constantly abandoned your own needs to keep others comfortable. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about staying rooted in your own center so you can show up fully, calmly, and with integrity. The Stoics believed that wisdom is knowing what to engage with and what to ignore. When you fail to set boundaries, you lose control over your own life. You allow the chaos of others to dictate your emotions, your schedule, and your energy. But when you create healthy limits, you reclaim your agency. You no longer live reactively, you live with intention. This is how self-respect is built, not through achievements or applause, but through the quiet, consistent act of honoring what you truly need. Setting boundaries doesn't require confrontation. It requires clarity. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. You don't need to justify every no with a long apology. You only need to know your worth. When you value your time, your energy, and your peace, you no longer trade them away cheaply. You speak with calm conviction. You act without guilt. And you find, often to your surprise, that people respect you more, not less, for your clarity. Of course, some may push back. Some may call you distant or cold. That's natural, especially if they've benefited from your lack of boundaries in the past. But your job is not to manage their discomfort, it's to protect your own clarity. You are not here to be accessible to everyone all the time. You are here to live with purpose, direction, and peace of mind. That requires saying no when necessary, even if it means disappointing someone temporarily. Ask yourself this: who are you constantly bending for? Whose approval are you afraid of losing if you finally say, that's enough? And more importantly, what is the cost of staying silent, of overextending, of betraying yourself just to be liked? The Stoics would tell you, the cost is your soul, your serenity, your strength. These are not prices worth paying for anyone. Practically speaking, start small. Begin by noticing when your boundaries are being crossed, emotionally, mentally, or physically. Then ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I assert myself? Is that fear real, or is it inherited from old beliefs that no longer serve you? Write it down, reflect on it, then act. Say no with grace, decline with confidence. You'll be surprised how quickly your inner world begins to feel lighter, calmer, and more aligned. Boundaries, once set with consistency, create space to breathe, space to think, space to live with clarity and purpose. They signal to others how you expect to be treated. They teach people what's acceptable and what's not through force, but through firm, respectful presence. And more than that, they teach you that your peace is worth protecting, that your needs matter, that your value isn't determined by how much you tolerate, but by how deeply you honor yourself. Stoic wisdom reminds us that true freedom is found in self-control. Self-control starts by knowing when to step back, when to protect your silence, when to refuse being pulled into chaos that isn't yours to fix. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not selfish. You're self-aware. And in that awareness, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. Let your boundaries reflect your self-respect. Let your silence be powerful. Let your no be full of grace and certainty. Because the moment you stop asking for permission to rest, to retreat, to protect your peace, that's the moment you stop living for others and start living with purpose. Boundaries are not barriers. They're declarations. And when spoken with love and lived with conviction, they become the clearest signal of a life built on inner strength and unshakable worth. 8. You are not your job. You are not your job. You are not your salary. You are not your LinkedIn headline or your business card. And if those things were stripped from you tomorrow, you'd still be someone. You'd still matter. But too often, in a world obsessed with status, roles, and professional identity, we forget that who we are isn't something that can be printed on a resume. We forget that our real value was never meant to be measured by titles, targets, or the admiration of colleagues. We begin to confuse our function with our essence. But the two are not the same, and never were. It happens quietly. You do your work well, you get recognized, people associate you with your achievements. Over time, you begin to introduce yourself as what you do, not who you are. Your sense of self becomes tied to results. Your confidence depends on metrics. Your identity lives or dies with the rise and fall of quarterly outcomes. And then, the moment work changes, whether by choice, failure, transition, or loss, suddenly, your entire sense of self feels unstable. Because when the job goes, so does your definition of who you are. But real identity, real value, doesn't dissolve with circumstance. It isn't attached to your occupation. It isn't bound by productivity. Stoicism teaches us that we are not what we do. We are how we do it. We are how we carry ourselves, how we respond under pressure, how we treat others, how we uphold integrity and silence. Our job may provide a platform, but our character builds the legacy. And no job title, however grand or fleeting, can ever substitute for inner strength and personal virtue. When you believe that your worth comes from your role, you give your power away. You place your peace in the hands of something temporary, and anything that can be taken from you should never be what defines you. The Stoics would say this: attach your identity not to things that change, but to principles that endure. If your profession disappears, your patience remains. If your company folds, your compassion lives on. If your rank fades, your resilience still burns. That's the kind of value the world cannot touch. There is a subtle tyranny in defining people by what they do for a living. It reduces the complexity of a soul into a single function. It forgets the human behind the role. You are more than your skill set, more than your title, more than your industry. You are your experiences, your choices, your emotional discipline, your relationships, and your quiet efforts that no one applauds but you make anyway. And when you stop chasing worth through work, you begin to live with deeper freedom. That doesn't mean you stop working hard. It doesn't mean ambition is wrong. Stoicism isn't about detachment from action. It's about detachment from ego. Do your best, show up fully, deliver with integrity, but don't confuse success with self-worth. Don't tie your value to your profession so tightly that if the role shifts, your identity shatters with it. You are not the position you hold. You are the posture you carry through every season, whether employed or between chapters. The world may not celebrate this kind of inner strength. The world prefers accolades, titles, and highlights, but quiet dignity? That's rare. The person who can sit with themselves without a need to prove, compare, or perform, that person holds a kind of power no title can grant. Because that kind of confidence is built from the inside out. It doesn't waver with market trends. It doesn't collapse under rejection. It stands calmly and consistently, even when everything external feels uncertain. If you found yourself feeling lost without your work, if your identity feels blurry when you're not performing, it's not a flaw, it's a signal. A call to return home, to rediscover what makes you valuable beyond function, beyond output, beyond the applause. Look inward. Are you proud of the way you speak to others? Are you grounded in your decisions? Are you calm when things fall apart? That's value, that's worth it. That's what lasts, and maybe this is your moment. Not to abandon your career, but to free yourself from being ruled by it. To build a version of success that starts with self-respect. Measure your life not by what you've earned, but by how you've lived. Not by the ladder you've climbed, but by the values you've stood on, even when the climb paused. The Stoic path leads us inward. It strips away the noise. It asks, who are you when the title fades? Who are you when no one's watching? That's the foundation. And when you stand strong on that foundation, no role can define you, no job loss can destroy you, and no amount of recognition can distract you from what's essential. You are not your job. You never were. Your value began long before your first paycheck, and it will remain long after your last promotion. So live in that truth. Work with excellence, but don't lose yourself in the doing. Let your presence speak louder than your title. Let your worth be anchored in who you are, not in what you do. Because when you truly believe that, no change in status can shake you. No transition can unmake you. And no silence from the world can stop you from walking with the quiet strength of someone who knows exactly who they are. In a world that often tells you to prove yourself through titles, roles, and recognition, the greatest act of defiance is to understand your own value and live from it daily. You've heard every part of this journey. Choosing yourself before waiting to be chosen, honoring the effort that no one sees, letting go of comparison, and protecting your peace with firm but kind boundaries. You've seen how failure doesn't erase your worth, how your difference is your strength, and how your identity is never confined to your job. All of it leads back to one quiet truth. You were always enough. The Stoic path doesn't require applause. It requires awareness. It asks you to return to the present moment, again and again, and act with intention. And that's where your daily practice begins. Not in a perfect plan, but in a deliberate choice. Wake up and remind yourself that your value isn't determined by how productive you are today. It's found in how you respond, with calm, with courage, and with quiet clarity. Practice setting boundaries when your energy is low. Practice speaking kindly to yourself after failure. Practice walking away from noise that tells you you're not enough. None of this happens overnight. But every small act builds resilience. Every moment of self-respect creates momentum. And over time, you'll stop chasing worth and start radiating it. That's when you become untouchable by the world's fleeting definitions of success. So, begin where you are, with what you have, and hold the line for who you're becoming. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are already becoming. If this message resonated with you, share your story in the comments below. Tell us when you realized your value, or how you're learning to trust it again. Because your story has power, and someone out there may need to hear exactly what you've lived through.